Welcome everyone. It's good to meet you. Today we have a question from Peter. And Peter asks, I was wondering whether resting your attention on energy flows that occur as a result of breathing in and out is also a good way to make the breath more beautiful. Kind regards, Peter. All right. So this week is going to be all about breath. And I'm going to split this up into two sections. Mostly today we will cover how to change our perception in regards to the breath and how that can help. And on Thursday evening, we're going to talk a little bit about how to change the actual breath, or really working with the physical aspect of the breath. So today, it's about our perceptions and how we can make use of adjusting or changing our perceptions in a way that makes the breath more pleasant. Many people, they do breathing meditation, they try to focus on their breath. In many ways, people often do breathing meditation almost like they're forcing themselves upon their breath. They don't relax into it. They force their attention in a very tight, tense way onto the breath. And of course that doesn't really yield results. You can only get a certain amount out of your meditation practice if you use willpower. So willpower, even though it does work to a certain extent, it doesn't get you into the real deep, nice, relaxing states of meditation. It blocks you from that because it is tense. And as long as you're tense, either in your attitude or in your posture or in your breathing, your energy, there is no meditation, or at least there is no deeper meditation. And what we do when we practice meditation is we learn to discover tension and then to let go of it. That's the whole idea. And that will take you to ever more refined places. In the beginning, you let go of the most obvious kind of tension, right? It's the physical tension. You just learn to relax the body a little bit. That's stage one. But before you even go into that, you let go of the tension of wrong attitudes, of attitudes which are harmful to the practice. That's why we smile in the beginning. Creating a good motivation. Knowing what you're doing here. I'm not here to add something onto myself so that I become more perfect later. I'm here to let go. The ultimate purpose of meditation is to practice for release, for freedom. Not for gathering stuff. So we start by letting go of physical tension, and we go into letting go of future and past, because that is also tension. And you would not know that, you would probably not know future and past as tension as long as you didn't have a glimpse of being without future and past for a little while. And I mean, a glimpse here refers to quite a substantial amount of time staying without any future or past thoughts. What do I mean by substantial amount of time? Well, 45 seconds maybe is pretty good. Without any future, without any past. Many people, when they begin meditation, they think, oh, I can only focus for 5 minutes. That's ridiculously much, focusing for 5 minutes. That's a lot. And then they continue with their meditation practice and they get more and more advanced. The more advanced they get, the more they see, oh, I can only focus for a millisecond before my attention moves and wobbles again and goes to the next thing. Having a completely still attention, that is a big achievement. Having it for more than 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, it's a big achievement. And you will get to know that the more you practice meditation. You will see that just how flurry attention actually is, how fast it moves. That's why we refer to that as monkey mind. It refers to the movement of attention. So staying really present for a long time, meaning not letting your attention at least go to future and past thoughts, that is an achievement. And this achievement is marked by quite some joy that you feel. It feels very nice. Only then will you know that, future and past come back, and you know that by the tension that you suddenly feel. Oh, it's been really nice and relaxing. Like, wow, just a little while without any problem. All of a sudden, future and past come back, and suddenly you have problems again. What was that sound? That's past. It already passed. But now you want to find out what it is. Now you have a problem to solve. Now you're tense again. And that has to be an experience, not a belief, not an opinion, not philosophy. You have to experience that for yourself. So you have to practice in the beginning to stay present for long enough so that you can see what it means. The joy beyond future and past. You have to taste it. And once you really taste that, then nobody has to convince you anymore in telling you that future and past are stressful and they're suffering. But if you have not experienced that, we quickly get into philosophical discussions. Yeah, but we all need future, we need ambitions and goals, and I love achieving, and I need to, and you still haven't seen what it means, the happiness of being without having to get somewhere. If you have seen that, you will immediately know what I'm talking about. This is a big relief. I don't have to get anywhere. So nice. But for a mind which is absolutely flooded by and drenched in, I have to get somewhere else, it's incomprehensible what I'm talking about right now. It might even appear as a threat. What? You're taking away my future, my precious future? That's, by the way, why most people are scared of death. They're scared of death because it means no more future. That's, my future is all of a sudden, it's gone. You get diagnosed as cancer or something like this, and death knocks on your door, and you're like, but what about me getting somewhere? Now that suddenly stops. So you're thrown back violently onto yourself, onto life. And many people then, they kind of go back to the only thing they then know, the other escape, which is the past. Oh, before everything was better, and I wish I wouldn't have eaten so much red meat, and why do I have cancer now, and maybe I did something wrong, and da-da-dum, and now it's guilt. You go back into past now. And we constantly do that. If you notice this is really stressful. That's the reason why we can't sleep at night. Because we want to be somewhere else. We're awake, but we want to be somewhere else. We want to be sleeping. So you can't sleep, you can't rest. As soon as you're fine with the way it is, a big deal of stress falls away. You're now coming into life slowly. To me, future is nothing but death. Nothing but death. And the past is the same. It's dead already. I'm not interested in death. I'm interested in life. And where can I find it? Where is it? Where's life? Well, it is here and now, as has been said so many times. And as long as we're looking elsewhere, we're looking in coffins. We will not find anything, just corpses. The vibrancy, the aliveness, you can only find now. Why am I talking so much about present moment awareness when this talk is supposed to be about perceptions and breath, right? Because it leads upon to that. Only if you really open up to the present moment do you start to feel your body in ways that you haven't before. Because you stop labeling. Now that's the third stage. You stop labeling stuff. You stop calling it arm and leg and head. And then what is it when there is no label? What shape does it have if you don't call it anything? Now you're left with just pure experience. Now if you can stay in that for a while, you will notice just how stressful labeling actually was. But before you could not stay in that, you think labeling is a great thing. It makes you appear as if you knew stuff. You can call things by their name. You can say, oh, that's a frog, that's a cat. I know what that is. This is a cat. That's a window. What that does, it kills all the wonder that a child still has. When a child doesn't label, a child doesn't call anything, it still is full of wonder. The world is like a miracle. It doesn't still have that feeling of, I know what that is, and then loses consequentially all interest in it. Now I know how to call that. That's a plastic bottle full of water. Okay, done. It's becoming dull. As soon as I think I know what it is, it becomes dull. I don't pay attention anymore. And so I don't really perceive it properly. And it gives rise to a whole set of misperceptions also concerning other people and myself. Oh, I'm such a failure. Now I know how to call myself. I call myself a failure. There, it's been settled. It's a done deal. I've always been a failure, always be a failure, done. I don't have any further interest in myself. I don't even want to sit down and investigate and actually look at my thoughts and see, are my thoughts the truth? Or are they maybe just thoughts? So that's the problem with labeling, with the constant talk in our heads, and how it designs the way you feel, how it designs your movements in life. It constantly tells you what to do and what not to do, and what should be and what should not be, keeping you wired all the time. And unable to perceive life. Instead of actually perceiving the way it is, we perceive the way we think it is. Does that make sense? And that's a big difference. This is like reading about swimming versus actually getting into the water. That's a big difference. Like reading books about honey versus actually tasting it. And most of us were constantly busy trying to define life, trying to organize it somehow into sentences and words so that it all makes sense. And once we have a feeling like, yeah, okay, now things make sense, then we go back into our dullness. We call it comfort zone. Neither evolving nor regressing, just kind of, it's a vegetable lifestyle, vegetating around, not really doing anything, not accomplishing anything, just emptiness, dullness. And when that falls away, there is an incredible intensity to life, of vibrancy. It's undeniable. You suddenly feel the body beyond knowing what you feel. It's a miracle again. It's weird again. Wow, what is this? What's going on, you know? It's tingling all over and buzzing, and it doesn't really have any shape. The feelings don't have any shape, any form. They're not solid. They're constantly in motion, like wind. And even pain becomes interesting if you don't call it pain anymore. Before, when you used to call it pain, it was a done deal. You just need to escape from it. Now you can look at it, explore it, and be fascinated by it. That takes all the suffering out of pain. It takes the misery out of the picture. Now it's just a feeling. And there are many feelings in the body every given second. Now, if your mind is stripped of future and past and talking, now you're ready for the breath. It's almost like, you enter a temple in Thailand. You need to take off your shoes. Or we need to leave our shoes outside. Otherwise, you can't enter. So if we want to enter the breath, proper breathing meditation, we've got to take off our shoes, future and past. Put on a nice dress, silence. And then you look at your breath. You will notice, am I breathing in or out? Make it really simple at first. How do you know whether you're breathing in or out? Well, you just know, right? You just feel it. You don't even have to label it to know it. You just know it. Stay with that for a while. Until everything else fades into the background, slowly, slowly. You stop having any interest in other things. It's way too interesting to notice the breath. But then it can still happen that you kind of get bored. You might still come from this subtle, I know what that thing is. And so the mind wants to escape again. It wants to go elsewhere. So we need to learn the art of making the breath comfortable. Because what is comfortable is easy for us to concentrate on. So it's in a way like you're coming in through the back door. You're using a trick. It's the indirect cause of focus, the indirect cause of proper meditation or single-mindedness is pleasure. If it's not pleasurable, you won't be staying with it. Some people, they go through this dreadful forcing themselves onto the breath for an entire hour, and they do that every day. And they can only keep that up until they're kind of burned out. And then might happen that they visit a master and the master tells them, what are you doing? And they said, I've been meditating on the breath for 20 years and not getting anywhere. And then it's usually precisely because of that point. They don't have fun. They don't enjoy themselves. It's kind of like meditation is almost a means to an end. It needs to get me to this enlightenment stuff, which I imagine to be awesome. It's completely twisted. Because first of all, we have absolutely no idea what enlightenment is. And we read books and we hear teachers talk and then we think, oh yeah, it must be something amazing, awesome, totally supernatural, and we think in terms of feeling. It must feel very amazing. We think in terms of thoughts. Then I only have pure thoughts when I'm enlightened. And we think in terms of virtue, and then we think, oh, when I'm enlightened, I'll be only ever kind always. That's the case when you're really, really at the end, but there are stages to enlightenment too. There's stages to it. And thinking you're enlightenment, that's definitely not it. You might think, oh, I got it. That's not it. Definitely not. I can assure you that. That's it. Oh, yeah. Ooh. That's what that is. No. It's more simple. And we need to learn that simplicity over an extended period of time. Becoming, in a way, more and more simple. So simple until you get it. And then there's not really anyone there getting anything. Because it's just so simple. But until you come to that point, we have to continuously strip everything that is inessential to this moment. Everything is inessential to life. And we wouldn't do that if it wouldn't be nice. If every time you kind of let go, you're ending up in this dreadful, boring, nothingness state, then that's not it. It'll not get you anywhere. It will make you maybe averse to meditation. Every time I meditate, I feel dreadful. So I let go of everything and now I feel terrible. You wouldn't do it. Letting go always should feel really, really good. Whether you're letting go of tension in your body, of future and past, of the voice in your head, or of everything but the breath. It should feel progressively better and better and better. That's something you want to kind of seek out in a subtle way. If it doesn't really feel good, what could you do? Where are you blocking yourself? Where are you holding on? That's why you're not really feeling good. There's some holding going on. You got to find out what that is. Like maybe I really need to focus on the breath so I can feel more pleasant. Well, that might be the holding. That's what's keeping you from enjoying yourself. I got to focus on my breath so I can be more happy. That's a holding, but it might not appear as a holding. It might not appear as something like a desire. As long as if you're full of desires and greed and cravings, there is no real relaxation. Letting go means letting go of craving. So we do that gradually, slowly. How do you perceive your breath? This is the question you want to ask yourself when you're with the breath. Now you know for a little while, breathing in, breathing out, how it feels like. Now how do you really feel the breath? How do you experience it? Some people feel it all over their body. They feel as if they were breathing through their pores, as if their entire body was a lung. Some people experience their bodies as empty vessels, filling with air, emptying out again. Some people experience their breath as light. Some feel their breath entering through their feet and going all the way up out of their heads. Some people feel it as entering through their hands. Some people feel the breath coming in like a wave from the right side, then to the left side, Now you have to pay attention to the way you feel the breath. That is very unique for everyone. But if you don't pay attention, you don't notice these things. If your head is still talking a lot, you're having too much noise, so you can't perceive these things. Where do you feel comfortable? So that's one thing that I use. I ask myself right now in my body, where do I feel most comfortable? That requires a shift of attention right there. It's a very skillful shift of attention. Instead of where do I feel most painful right now, that comes easy. But where do you feel most easeful, most nice in your body? Can you somehow mix your breath with this feeling? And how you do that, up to you. You have to find out. This is something there is no recipe for that. I can only give a pointer here, like a direction. Where do you feel comfortable in your body? What's the most pleasant point? Breathe into that pleasant point and then allow it to spread until you're experiencing the entire body as the breath itself. So you're not feeling any more head, arms, shoulders, and legs and so forth, but all you're feeling is breath. Your eyes are closed, you're not seeing your body. All you have is feelings, energy. You can change your perception in a way that the energy that you perceive is nothing but breath. All you're feeling is breath. You see, this is very powerful. And it's a simple shift of perception. As Peter asks, he uses the word energy flows. Maybe that's how he experiences that. So he has enough silence to notice that the energy in the body flows together with the breath. And he asks, can I use that to make the breath more beautiful? Yes, of course. Until you're enjoying your breath, the experience of breathing to such a degree that you're naturally getting absorbed in it. And that's when deeper meditation naturally comes. Because you're having so much fun, you forget everything else. That's good meditation. Instead of reading a textbook on meditation, where it says, focus on the breath, first at your nose, then at your belly, then there, that's all okay, that's all legit methods, but it very often blocks people from accessing their own innate wisdom and their own innate seeing, almost as if the book would make you too comfortable to actually do the work. Okay, here's the recipe, I just follow the recipe and done. That's correct, you want to follow the recipe, just to the note, that's important. But when it comes to actually observing the breath and how you experience it, no book can help with that. That's why it's so important to have a teacher. Because a teacher can answer you from experience what you should do now. What's the next step? A book cannot do that because there is infinite possibilities of what you might experience in your next meditation session. Infinite. It's just we're limited by the way we think. We limit what we could possibly experience by our thoughts, our expectations. That's what's limiting the scope of experiences you could have. What you believe, your beliefs, right? I'm this and that kind of meditator, and meditation, I believe, would feel great somehow in the body. Well, that's your limit. That's what you're going to experience, like a somehow great thing that happens in meditation. I don't know really what, but hopefully it's going to be nice. Then that's exactly what's going to happen. Because your perception is not tuned to actually notice things outside of the box, things that you wouldn't expect, feelings that you wouldn't know to be there before. Because your perception is working basically based on your beliefs. So you want to change your beliefs. Your perception is looking for things you know. That might be your downfall, right? So you're looking for things you know. So if a meditation teacher tells you, well, you should feel blissful all over your body, that is not anything you know. And so you're looking for this bliss and it just doesn't happen. Because your perception isn't able to tune into the wavelength of that bliss. Perception is a bit like a radio tuner, you can think of it like that. If you tune it the right way, you will get into that frequency of the experience, then you have that experience. This is very powerful and can be used for everything in your life, by the way. Not just for your breath, not just to have a good time. There's always an infinite number of possible viewpoints to every situation. It's just that we are very often limited to that only one perception of it. The one that you have learned from your peers, your culture, where you grew up, your friends, the magazines you read, the media you consume online. That shows you what's possible, right? That's a limit. That's why we need to get out of this voice in our head first, so that we can feel and tap into what's really going on there without having any expectations or formed perceptions. As good as possible, you want to be open-minded, accepting the fact that anything is possible as long as you're tuning into that with your perception. So you can make yourself incredibly blissful if you know how to use your perception well. You can discover things you didn't know existed if you learn how to use your perception well. And that is very much dependent on what you believe is possible and what not. And that goes very deep. This is very subconscious stuff. What you believe This is all that I can possibly do. And then some people, they break through these barriers of possibility. Whereas everyone else says, no, the earth is flat. Isn't it obvious? Some people kind of somehow break through that. They're somehow more open. They question. They don't make it a fixed thing. Yep, okay, the earth is flat. Okay. But maybe not. I can't meditate well. If that's your belief, then you're going to have a hard time to meditate well. You might want to start questioning that belief. Is that really true? Is it really true that you can't meditate well? Is it true? Then why? Is it true because your mind says so? Is it true because people around you say so? Maybe you have a teacher who is a bit unskilled still, and that teacher will tell you, oh no, you will never make it. That can be quite tricky. It happens to some people. You're not good enough for meditation, you should give it up. And then because the teacher is very respected and everyone venerates that teacher, and you think, oh my God, that's it, not for me. I will not make it in meditation because an authority said so. But we don't really question. You have to be a little bit naughty there. Question your own mind. It says, is it possible for you to experience bliss? Should you enjoy yourself with your breath in meditation? Yes? No? Now Peter asks, I'm the authority, and I say, yes, sure, enjoy yourself. It's very, very important to enjoy yourself. It's important to sometimes get a confirmation. Yes, it's all right to enjoy yourself. That's the whole point. The whole point of meditation. To enjoy yourself. It is a joy that the Buddha called a blameless joy. Because it comes from within yourself. It's a blameless joy. It's not a joy that comes from circumstances, like stuff around you, and it comes from within, directly from the source. So it is blameless. And he said, indulge in that. You want to indulge in this. This is important. This is for the pleasure in the here and now. Kindness, single-mindedness, samadhi. So seek out the comfort, and if you feel that the energy flows in your body, somehow go in tune with your breath. Then enjoy it for that while that it lasts, and then watch out for changes, because very often the energy changes after a while. Then you need to find a bit of a more refined form of joy that goes a bit deeper. So you want to ride, it's almost like surfing, isn't it? You want to ride the waves. And then the wave will stop at some point. You need to hop onto the next one. And so you keep going. So when one wave of bliss and happiness and joy kind of abates and comes to an end, then how do you go to the next one? A bit deeper. A bit more nice. Now this is constant. You're constantly challenged to actually feel yourself properly and to work together with your feeling and your breath in such a clever way that all of your attention is demanded there. And that's a process that no book can tell you how to do it, because that's when you're in there, you can't, like a surfer that has a book about surfing, and when he's in the wave, then the book is just, it's useless. Now he has to kind of find out how to balance and how to do it. So this is how meditation has worked out for me so far. It's a constant surprise of what the mind comes up with. And you have to constantly learn to adapt to these surprises, to these various changes. And you get skilled with it, adapting to it after a while. So you can serve the changes of your mind and your feeling pretty well. So you can create a very consistent kind of level of deepening bliss. Until then, all the activity slowly stops. You go into deeper states, and deeper states, and deeper states, and so forth. You just need to keep going and do it the right way. So in the beginning, if there's something that gives you some pleasure in the body, follow it, stay focused, keep with your breath. Ride it for a little while and see what comes up next until the breath becomes more and more refined. It thins out, almost to the point of becoming non-existent. I don't know if any of you are practicing this at home, actually. That would be amazing if you guys are not just coming to these classes for a bit of information, but if you actually do practice it at home, you might have noticed that with progress, your breath becomes more and more thin, more fine. And at the same time, the levels of pleasure go up. So I encourage you to really work on this. If this is not yet your experience, even though you practice a lot, then feel free to come after these classes and ask. Or ask in the group. That's why I give these, does anyone have a question, kind of times. That's important for you guys to really progress. Okay, so just want to add on at the end of the class that it is possible for everyone who's listening to this later on or right now, that you can send me your questions by mail, or just bring them to class, or just ask in person, and we can discuss these questions in class. There's no problem at all. Okay? So, are there any questions right now?